Hello. I'm Mrs. Kavanaugh, from Kaunas Key High School. Welcome to our second film on classification. For Karlam Kumri, AS Revision. This is under AS Unit 2. Biodiversity and Physiology of Body Systems. Written examination, 1 hour 30 minutes. 20% of qualification. There are 2 films in this series from within the unit, 2.1. In the second film, we will look at the characteristics of the organisms in the 5 kingdoms. Exam questions will be used in both films to support your learning. Let's look at where this film fits into the specification. Objectives and outcomes. To describe the features of the 5 kingdoms. To apply our knowledge of the 5 kingdoms to answer exam questions. The specification reference is Part D. The characteristic features of kingdoms. Prokaryote, Protoctista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. Our success criteria. To understand the characteristics of the organisms within the 5 kingdoms. Let's take a look at the keywords for this session. Kingdom. Kingdom is the rank below domain. Comprised of 5 kingdoms: Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, Protoctista, Prokaryote. Animalia. A kingdom consisting of multicellular eukaryotes. Without a cell wall. Plantae. Consists of multicellular eukaryotes with a cellular cell wall. They carry out photosynthesis. Fungi. A kingdom of heterotrophic eukaryotes with chitin cell walls. They reproduce asexually by producing spores. Protoctista. This is a kingdom of unicellular eukaryotes. Prokaryote. Consists of unicellular organisms which lack a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Remember, the 5-kingdom classification system is the classification of organisms into 5 major kingdoms. Animalia, which are animals. Plantae, which are plants. Fungi, organisms including yeast and mold. Prokaryote, which are single-celled microorganisms, and Protoctista, are single or multicellular microorganisms. Here are the characteristics of organisms in the Animalia kingdom. Multicellular. Eukaryotic. Don't have cell walls. They are heterotrophic, with holozoic nutrition. Their digestion is internal. Nervous system. Specialized organ systems. Most move at some time in their cycle. Divided into 2 types, vertebrates and invertebrates. Diversity, with animals existing in every corner of the world. It's time to meet the vertebrates. There are currently approximately 60,000 identified vertebrate species, with estimates of a further 20,000 yet to be discovered. There are 5 types of vertebrates: birds, fish, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. Let's have a look at examples of each type. We have previously looked at the features of animals at a very broad level. We are going to look at the specific features of the vertebrate group, of the kingdom Animalia. We know that members of the group Animalia are multicellular and eukaryotic. This means their nucleus is clearly defined. Animalia gain their nutrition through internal digestion, that is, through holozoic nutrition. And they are heterotrophic. This means they need other organisms for food in order to survive. Firstly, we'll consider the vertebrate group of birds or aves. Birds are characterized by having feathers, which help to prevent heat loss. They have a toothless beak, and they lay hard-shelled eggs. Birds are warm-blooded, maintaining their body temperature above that of the environment. Their forelimbs have been modified into wings. Examples of organisms within aves are robins, penguins, and eagles. Now, let's consider the vertebrate group fish, divided into three main classes. The bony fish or class Osteichthyes. Osteichthyes occur in all freshwater and ocean environments. Freshwater examples include goldfish, trout, and piranha. Saltwater examples include salmon, tuna, and clownfish. Next, the cartilaginous fish or the class called chondrichthyes. Chondrichthyes, or cartilaginous fish, have a cartilaginous skeleton. Examples include sharks, rays, and skates. And thirdly, the jawless fish or class Agnatha. Agnatha are primitive jawless fish. They are mostly parasites or scavengers. Their body appears like an eel, with examples including the lamprey and hagfish. Body sizes vary depending on the species. Fish have gills. Gills are necessary for life underwater, allowing fish to absorb oxygen from water and release carbon dioxide. Fish are cold-blooded, or ectothermic. This means they are unable to regulate their own body temperature, so have to rely on the outside temperature for temperature regulation. The body temperature of fish changes as its environment changes. Fish have fins to enable their movement through the water, but fins can also help with stability and maneuverability. Use of fins varies between species, depending on the needs and adaptations of the animal. Fish have scales which protect internal organelles. Moving on to the mammals. Mammals are endothermic. This means they regulate their body temperature themselves. Mammals give birth to young that are alive, and they have mammary glands to feed their infants. Found mostly in habitats. They have fur or hair, which helps with their adaptation to the different environments in which they live. Mammals respire through lungs. They also have a four-chambered heart. Mammals are further classified according to the method of which they give birth. Examples of mammals include giraffes, whales, and rhinos. Our next vertebrate group is the reptiles or reptilia. Reptilia are cold-blooded and are more often found in warmer parts of the world. Although there are 3 types of native snakes and 3 types of native lizards in the UK. Their skin is dry and rough and scaly. Their fertilization is internal and they are oviparous, with very yolky eggs. Examples include lizards, snakes, and crocodiles. Reptilia are believed to have evolved from amphibians, which is our final vertebrate group. Amphibians include organisms such as salamanders, frogs, and toads. Most amphibians need water in order to complete their life cycle. Their eggs have no shell and are laid in water. Once the young hatch, they undergo metamorphosis and transform to land-living versions. They are ectothermic. They can't regulate their own body temperature. They are dependent on external sources for body heat. Amphibians are found in many different environments around the world, including here, in the UK. Now it's time to meet the invertebrates. There are between 1.4 million and 7 million estimated invertebrate species. The Arthropoda are animals with a segmented body. They have a strong exoskeleton. Arthropoda have the ability to adapt to many different environments. Examples include scorpions, honeybees, and spiders. The mollusca phylum is very diverse. Mollusca is the second largest phylum, after the Arthropoda. Mollusca have characteristic soft bodies and a thin, fleshy envelope. Organisms within the mollusca phylum include snails, squid, and octopi. Echinodermata adults often have radial symmetry and include starfish, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. Species from the phylum Cnidaria are found in mostly marine environments. Examples include jellyfish and sea anemone. Phylum Porifera are multicellular, with pores in their body allowing water to flow through. The Platyhelminths phylum contains organisms such as Turbellaria, the flatworm, and Taenia species, the tapeworm. They are free-living, or parasitic. The Nematoda, or roundworm phylum, are diverse and are found in many environments. They are often parasitic, but can be free-living, feeding on microorganisms. Phylum Annelida are the segmented worms, including earthworms and leeches. They are found in both aquatic and terrestrial environments. Meet the Plantae. This kingdom includes all land plants, such as flowering plants, and plants that are used as crops. Plants are autotrophic, and as we mentioned earlier, they have specialized structures to enable their survival, such as leaves for photosynthesis, roots to absorb water, and stems to transport water and minerals around their system. Mosses, ferns, and conifers are other types of Plantae. Meet the fungi. The fungi kingdom includes yeast, mold, and fungi. Fungi have a unique cell wall made of chitin. Some fungi are parasitic and can infect the host. The recent TV series, The Last of Us, was based on the zombie ant fungus, cordyceps. This cannot affect us, as our body temperature is too high. Meet the Protoctista. The Protoctista kingdom consists of simple, eukaryotic organisms. They mostly live in water, or damp terrestrial environments. Most are unicellular, but there are some multicellular organisms, and include such organisms as kelp, seaweed, algae, euglena, and Plasmodium. Meet the Prokaryote. The last kingdom we will consider is that of Prokaryote. Prokaryotes are unicellular and smaller than eukaryotes. They have no nuclei. They have a cell wall, containing peptidoglycan or murine, and a cell surface membrane. Examples of prokaryotes include rod-shaped bacteria, bacillus, such as Streptobacillus and Nostoc. Some prokaryotes are extremophiles. They can survive in extreme habitats such as here in a hot spring, in Yellowstone National Park. In hydrothermal or thermal vents, such as the one shown here. Or in extreme cold, such as the Arctic or Antarctic. It's time to try some quickfire questions. Read each question carefully, and make sure that you understand what is being asked of you. This is a very important skill for you to take into the exam. Pause the film after each question. Write down your response. And then restart the film to get the answer to the question. Which kingdoms have eukaryotic cells? Animalia, Plantae, fungi, Protoctista. Describe the features of Prokaryote. Unicellular. Lack a true nucleus. Rigid cell wall. Describe the features of fungi. Chitin cell wall. Eukaryotes. Heterotrophs. Asexual reproduction, via spores. Grow by producing hyphae. Which kingdoms are most likely to engulf prey and carry out photosynthesis? Protoctista. Pause the film and match the statements to the correct kingdom. When you have completed this task, restart the film to get the answers. Now for the answers. For the first statement. No membrane-bound organelles. This matches to prokaryote. The second statement reads, eukaryotes, which are mostly unicellular, but some multicellular, and can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. The answer for this one is Protoctista. Our third statement states, multicellular, photosynthetic organisms. Your answer should be Plantae. Statement 4 reads, multicellular, heterotrophic organisms with no cell walls. This matches to Animalia. Our final statement states that, heterotrophic organisms, which reproduce using spores. And this matches to fungi. How well did you do in the quick questions section of the film? The next 4 questions are exam questions, taken from previous WJEC exam papers. Make sure you use these past paper questions to help with your preparation for your exam. Past paper questions will help you to get used to the type of questions you might expect in your exam, and also help you to apply your knowledge of what you revised to previous questions. The benefit of using past paper questions is that it gives you an idea of your strengths and weaknesses before you sit your exams. This means that you can focus your revision on those areas in which you feel less confident. You should time yourself to see how well you answer questions within the available time. Take some time at the start of the exam to read through the whole exam paper. This will help you to plan how you might tackle the questions. What order will you answer the questions? And which higher mark questions will you answer first? Make sure you know what the question is asking you. Check you know the meaning of the verb. For example, explain or evaluate, and the concept being examined in the question. I have mentioned several times the need to read questions carefully, to try to understand what the examiner is asking, and then write in your answer. Other things you might like to consider include: if you think that you cannot answer a particular question, then leave it and come back to it later. It is amazing how often you can remember some, if not all of the answer, when you return to it. This will help you to maximize the marks you score and gain a better exam grade. Complete the table opposite, using the characteristics to identify each kingdom. Pause the film when you have read the question and write down your answers. The kingdom with the characteristics of heterotrophic eukaryotes. Cell wall of chitin. Reproduce by spores. Is fungi. The kingdom with the characteristics of heterotrophic. Multicellular eukaryotes. No cell wall. Nervous coordination. Is Animalia, animal is an acceptable answer. The kingdom with the characteristics of eukaryotes. Single-celled. No tissue differentiation. Is Protoctista, but the examiner will accept protists. The kingdom with the characteristics of unicellular. Microscopic. Membrane-bound organelles. Cell wall made of murion. Is prokaryote, Monera. But not bacteria. The kingdom with the characteristics of multicellular eukaryotes. Photosynthetic. Cellulose cell wall. is planty, but the examiner will accept plant as an answer. The following statements describe some of the features of organisms in each of the 5 kingdoms. Write the letter of the sentences A to E in the box correctly identifying each of the 5 kingdoms. Read each statement carefully before you answer. Pause the film when you have read the question and write down your answers. Prokaryote. D. Unicellular organisms, with no internal or nuclear membranes, but possessing a cell wall. Protoctista. E. Small organisms possessing both internal and nuclear membrane. Fungi. B. Eukaryotic organisms that are non-photosynthetic but possess cell walls. Plantae. A. Eukaryotic organisms possessing cell walls and large vacuoles in their cells. Animalia. C. Heterotrophic organisms showing nervous coordination. The table, opposite, gives some features of 3 living organisms. Complete the table by stating the name of each kingdom. Read each statement carefully before you answer. Pause the film when you have read the question and write down your answers. The first statement says, unicellular no nuclear membrane, cell wall made of murion, not cellulose. The answer is prokaryote. Now for the second statement. Thread-like hyphae forming a mycelium, cell wall made of chitin. The answer is fungi. And the last statement. Multicellular, cells have cellulose cell wall. The answer is plantae. The table, below, shows certain characteristics of 4 kingdoms. If the characteristic is present in members of the kingdom, this is shown with a tick, or if the characteristic is not present, this is shown with a cross. Complete the table by giving the name of each kingdom into the empty boxes. Pause the film when you have read the question and write down your answers. Box 1. Eukaryotic, tick. Chloroplast, tick. Cell wall, tick. Nucleus, tick. The answer is plantae, but the examiner will accept plant. Box 2. Eukaryotic, tick. Chloroplast, cross. Cell wall, cross. Nucleus, tick. The answer is Animalia, but the examiner will accept animal. Box 3. Eukaryotic, cross. Chloroplast, cross. Cell wall, tick. Nucleus, cross. The answer is prokaryote, but the examiner will accept prokaryotic. Box 4. Eukaryotic, tick. Chloroplast, some species. Cell wall, some species. Nucleus, tick. The answer is Protoctista. But the examiner will not accept fungi or prokaryotic. If you got all of the answers correct, then well done. If not, then go back and re-read the questions and try them again. Good luck. Thank you for watching this film.